58 years after Nigeria's independence, stakeholders in the country's sports fraternity decry the underdevelopment of sport in Nigeria. They fault government's inability to use sports as a platform for recreation, business and employment for Nigerian youths. TVC's sports correspondent Akiri Mien reports.
Sports in Nigeria has continued to lag behind other sectors, unlike developed nations of the world, where sports business has become a major revenue earner and contributes significantly to the GDP of the country. Sports journalists and former athletes told TVC News that since 1916, the sports sector has remained unchanged in terms of growth and development, while lamenting the lack of enabling environment and facilities.
Sports has not really done well because sports should have made us #1 country in the world, if not the #1 economy. And I've always said it that every Nigerian athlete is a potential world champion. The question is, do you get the enabling environment to excel? If you know history, there was a guy called Akim Olajuwon. Akim Olajuwon was a man who never played basketball. He was a football goalkeeper in Nigeria. He went to America and became the best center that ever played basketball. And if you also know a man called Bashali, never boxed before in Nigeria, went to America, became one of the best boxers, won every cruiserweight title conceivable without fighting as an amateur. So this goes to show that every Nigerian is a potential world champion, but we need to get that enabling environment to excel.
Our low has been facilities. We have not been able to develop our facilities vis-a-vis or in par with the material human resources we have, which may have been a lock in where we would have been able to go.
Although the country has recorded a few milestones at the international stage, former handball player Jide Fashikun x-rays Nigeria's performance at the Olympic Games in the last 2 editions.
Sports, I will say, are actually taking a nosedive in Nigeria, and my conclusion is not too far-fetched. Let's take the last 2 Olympics. It's a clear-cut output of exactly what input have we put in as a nation. So ordinarily, if you ask me again, where and how did we get to where we are? In summary, I think in the last 58 years, we have not achieved the kind of results that as a nation, of the quality of the human resources we have, we're supposed to have achieved.
Atlanta 1996 Olympic Games bronze medalist Mary Onyali is unhappy with the country's inability to host the National Sports Festival in recent years.
Our National Sports Festival, which was where I was, discovered, disappeared, or was the rules and regulations and the structures were messed with. Inter-house school sports that I was discovered, disappeared. Schools are now done in 2 or 3 blocks of building, no more playing fields. How do you expect to discover young athletes and new talents like myself if there's no space for these kids to run around? You build an athlete mentally and physically, not just books. We do books and sports. And that's exactly the reason why that was what took me to the US.
With a recent survey showing that Nigeria has overtaken India as the nation with the highest rate of poverty, and the warning from the central bank that the country could head back to recession. Sports journalist Fred Edori decries the inability of government to explore the economic potential of sports in the country.
Largely for the past 6 decades, we really have not been able to move our sports from the point of just recreation and competition to construct it into an industry that will serve for employment and also contribute to the GDP. I guess that is what we are struggling with right now.
Akiri, TVC News, Lagos.